shit. This is going to be interesting. Very tired today. Yesterday, I should say, I attended my first International Tabletop Day event, which is one that we held ourselves within our game group. And it was a big day. It was huge. We did from about lunchtime till about 3 in the morning of non-stop games. It was amazing. We had a really great time. We had the kids there and they were playing, and it was really cool. It was really fun. We played everything from Rolf for the Galaxy to Zombie Dice to Catan. What else we played? Dead of Winter, Shadows of Camelot. Can't say that properly. Just to name a couple. And it was just great. It was really good. Such a huge day, and I'm definitely a little weary today, we'll say. But it was all worth it. It was so much fun. I'm really looking forward to next year, actually. Should be great. But one of the games we played on the day, which is a game I've had for a couple of weeks now, is Galaxy Trucker. All this business right here. I hadn't played Galaxy Trucker yet. I'd had it, and I didn't really know how to play it properly to sort of introduce it to the group yet. But I knew the day was coming up. I knew everyone was keen to play it, so I thought I'll knuckle down and actually try and figure it out. And it is pretty straightforward. I kind of don't want to really mumble my way through an explanation today. I'll try and just explain key components and that sort of thing, but there are better videos that explain how to play this. Yeah, and because I'm real tired, so I'm not going to do a great job. But I really wanted to talk about it because it was one of the more interesting games I've played in a long time, I would say. We played a lot lately. So basically the idea of Galaxy Trucker is you are building a Galaxy truck, believe it or not, to go on a journey to collect freight, collect goods, survive attacks from smugglers and pirates, survive meteor storms, and basically get to the end of your trip with a functioning ship and cargo to sell. Which sounds pretty simple, but some of the stuff that gets thrown at you is pretty insane. It's pretty hairy. So everyone starts off with their player board here, and on the player board, you basically can assemble your ship. So when you assemble your ship, everyone starts off with a central hub, and that's basically like the cabin's quarters. Any of these sort of spaces, they all look sort of similar. These white ones are the same. They get you crew members on your ship. So the more crew members, the better. You'll find out why you need crew members when you go through and do your quests. So basically, you start off with one of those, and what you're going to do is everybody at the same time. So this is the fun part, is going to try and build their ship. The way you build your ship is you use one hand, you dive into the pile. Now these will all normally be face down, so they'll all be black, so you can't see them, but I'm just showing this for an example. Everyone goes into the pile. Basically the timer starts at 1. You've got about a minute. Everyone starts to dive in and go crazy, trying to grab one piece at a time, grabbing it over to their board, flipping it over to see if it's what they want, and then placing it on their ship. Now it all sounds pretty straightforward and simple, and it is to a certain extent, but the thing is, every tile is made up of different components. So you've got things like lasers. You got things such as thrusters, things that need to actually get you across the galaxy. You got things like cargo bays. There's a couple of different types of cargo bays, and you've got batteries that need to be used to power up certain weapons and certain thrusters and things like that. So it's not as simple as just grabbing a tile, putting it down, and making it work. It all has to connect. And all of the pieces have different connecting parts too. So if we go through here, and I'll show you what we got. So this piece here has got a single connector, which is on the very bottom. You can see there's just a one sort of little spot there. They can only be connected to other single connectors. You got a part here that's got a double connector. You've got two little double connectors. They can only be connected to other double connectors, so other ones like that. They end up looking like sort of this, for example. So a single and a double can't go together. That just doesn't work. But every now and again, you'll come across a piece that's got this kind of what they call a universal connector, and they can connect to basically anything. They can connect to singles, they can connect to the doubles, there we go, and they can connect to each other as well. So all of that stuff has to match, but then, you look at these pieces, there's one here that's got one on one side, one on the other, but none on this side. You got one that's only got it on one side, you got one here that's got it on either side. So as you are playing and as you are building the ship, you're picking up these pieces at random, looking at them, and sure, it might be a battery and you want a battery, but the connectors aren't going to match up to the way you want to build the ship. So you got to start thinking about how you actually build it. It's really interesting. And there's certain rules you need to follow, like, you can't have exposed connectors against, flush smooth sides. That's an illegal move, so you can't do that. You can't have something, like, say if you want to keep building out, you can't sort of get a piece that's got no connectors on the other side, because you cut off your options to build further. Like, it gets really hectic, and it's not even because of the timer. Like, the timer, that timer's run out as I've been talking, but if I was still building my ship, there's no reason to actually have to flip the timer. The timer's only really there as I don't even know how you'd explain it, to be honest. The timer is more there to put pressure on the other players that are doing badly. So if you've got a ship going and you're doing really, really well, and you think, oh, well, I'm going to have this done pretty quickly, you could take the timer and flip it over onto the next part and basically put pressure on everyone else to get their ship done quicker. If that timer runs out and your ship's not done, you got to put it. You're done basically. You're left with what you've got. And some of the we'll say the creative choices that were made yesterday building ships was pretty funny. They resulted in some pretty hilarious things. So basically, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on to building the ship. Like I said, I'm not going to go into it today. There's actually quite a bit to it for a simple game, and it's best suited for being right in front of you and you can see the pieces and all that sort of stuff. So let's say that ship's been built. What happens is next it goes into the inspection phase. Now everyone gets up and basically walks around the table and inspects each other's ships, and it's so funny because you're looking at everyone's horrible creations and you're making fun of everyone, and it's great. But you also have to try and point out any illegal connection. So like I was saying before, if there's a smooth side and a connector side together, well, one of them has to go. And if that's connected to a bunch of other stuff that's connected, running outwards, and that's not connected to anything else, then you don't only lose that piece, you lose that whole side. So you can have you could lose half your ship if you didn't build it properly. It's great. So you got your ship. Turn order sorted by whoever finishes their ship first. So if you finish your ship first, you grab player 1 token, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then you basically go on a quest to gather goods and all that sort of stuff. And they're all determined by this hairy looking deck of cards here, right here. You pull out 12 at random. Now these are normally split into piles of 3 at the very start in the building stage. So pretty much you would put 3 there, you would put 3 here, and you'll put 3 there, and then you'll put 3 off to the side. If you are doing really, really, really well building your ship in the build stage, you can actually take a couple of seconds to take one of those decks from this section here and actually have a peek at what's to come. And then you can kind of build your ship to suit it if you want to. The problem is you've got another 3 cards here, you don't know what they are, and then they all get randomly shuffled anyway. So no guarantee it's going to help you, but that's something you can do. So with your built ship, providing it's still airworthy or space-worthy, I should say, we would go through and we would take our adventure deck, the ones that we had out before, you shuffle them all up, and then basically what you'd do is you'd start doing a quest. So the first quest might be to explore planets, and the way that would work is the first player gets the first choice of whether or not they want to land on the planet and do what they want, do the thing that actually comes with it. So in this case, it's taking cargo. Red's the most expensive cargo, so the first player might say, well, I definitely want to take those 2 red cargo, providing they've got the right spaces on their ship to carry cargo, which is another part of the build scenario. That's pretty easy when that happens. Taking cargo and selling it at the end of the round, that's fine. It gives you points you need to win the game, and that's really good. But then you'll come across stuff like this, for example, and I bet I'm not going to find one. Meteoric Swarm. So this is when you start getting, your ship starts to actually get pummeled by the perils of space. When this happens, you've got a dice roll that determines how your ship is affected by the event on the card. So in this example on the meteoric swarm, we would have a large boulder coming to us. Now, large boulders can be stopped by lasers. So if you've got a laser on the front of your ship, you can probably stop it, but only if that large boulder falls on a particular point on your ship that actually has the laser on it. And that's determined by a dice roll. So what we would do is we would roll a dice, 2 dice for that, in fact. We would add up the numbers, which is 7 in this case. Because it's coming from the top, we would go to the top of our board here, and it's all numbered, 3 to 11 there. We would find 7, and that part of our ship, the first part that's in line with that, gets hit. And if that's not a laser, it basically just blows that part of the ship away. So your ship slowly starts to get pretty much just demolished. It's hilarious. Then you got another little one coming from the side. Little ones can be stopped by shields, which are a tile you can pick up and put on your ship, or they can actually be stopped by a non-exposed side. So for example, this here and this here is a non-exposed side, whereas these 2 sides are exposed sides. So if a small meteor was to hit that, this piece would just go and be gone. So that's hilarious. We had certain circumstances where a piece would get blown off mid-quest and literally half the ship broke off because it was being connected by that one piece. And so this really great grandiose ship that was looking pretty good and had lots of cargo and lots of passengers and things like that and things you need and all that sort of thing, all of a sudden was just halved and all the important stuff was gone. It was the funniest thing ever. It was great. It was just, I haven't laughed this hard playing a board game, I don't think ever. I don't think there's any games, like I honestly can't think, apart from maybe Epic Spell Wars. That's just that's pretty funny, but this is like funny on a whole nother level. Like it's just so funny. So you would go through your deck and you would basically get everything and anything thrown at you at your ship. If you're lucky enough to have a ship at the end of your trip, then any of those little cubes that we were looking at before that you pick up, you're able to sell them, gain money, and the money basically ends up being your victory points. The person with the ship in the best condition with the least exposed connectors and all that sort of thing gets extra points. You get bonus points for that. And then basically any parts you lost, because any parts you lose basically go up here, any parts you lost then get deducted from your victory points. So if you've got $10 but you've got $5 worth of damage you need to make up for, then you need to pay for that with your money and you're down to $5. So it's pretty great. You could earn a ton of money pretty quickly, but you could also lose it like pretty quickly as well. And that sounds all well and good and fun, but the thing is, that's round 1. Round 2, you basically clear your ships, you flip over your board, and you start again. And you've got a bigger ship, a better deck, and more stuff that can happen. So the scale of what's to come just grows, but that also means that the hilarious encounters grow as well, and all the stuff that happens is just, oh my goodness, we were in fits. It was great. And then, after round 2, you can go on to round 3. And round 3, you get an even bigger ship. It's huge. There is an option at the back of this one too to play basically as the Enterprise from Star Trek, which is pretty darn cool. So you can choose which one the group does. So that's great. That's pretty much it. Like I said, this is a real quick, brief overview of the game. There's elements of this I haven't even touched on yet, but honestly, you don't really need to hear me explain the game. Like I said, there's plenty of awesome videos out there that explain how to play the game. You just need to go out and get it and play it, and make sure you play it with a bunch of your best mates, because you guys will just piss yourselves laughing. It's great. So I'm really looking forward to playing this again. And yeah, I just wanted to share it with you guys. I just had a ball. And yesterday, like I said, International Tabletop Day was fantastic. It was great. I wish every day was Tabletop Day. We had so much fun and really got a chance to play some great games for the day. So, and that's it today. That's all I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna go and sit on the couch and rest, I think. And yeah, thanks for watching. Keep an eye out on ranttheory.com for more stuff coming out. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip-flop tabletop. What? Nah.